This village is not good enough for me, and I'm leaving to the city.
Before this day, Serwaa had always been arrogant and stubborn. She had just completed her secondary school education and was waiting for admission into the university. Instead of pursuing her dreams, she chose to leave the village to meet her friends in the city without having any idea of the kind of life they were truly living. Serwaa had always been rude and disrespectful to everyone in the village. While other children helped their parents with household chores, Serwaa would sit with her legs crossed while her mother fetched water and swept the compound. Whenever the other young girls invited her to join them at the stream, she would respond rudely, "Allow me to enjoy my soft life. I am too beautiful to carry water on my head." Whenever the women of the village saw Serwaa, they would shake their heads and say, "I pity the man who will marry her." Serwaa continued with her rude behavior, and she never changed. That night, she could not sleep. She was completely convinced that there was nothing good left for her in the village. Early the next morning, she packed her small bag and walked out of the house as her mother looked on helplessly. The lorry station was already busy. Serwaa squeezed herself into a crowded bus, sitting between two strangers. Soon, she believed, she would be riding in air-conditioned cars with rich men far away from such discomfort. Hours later, tall buildings replaced trees, and dusty village roads gave way to noisy streets. The city welcomed Serwaa with loud horns, shouting vendors, and crowds of people rushing about. Her excitement grew. This was the life she wanted. This was where money lived. Her friends arrived at the station to meet her. They screamed her name, hugged her tightly, and laughed loudly. Serwaa admired their wigs, makeup, and expensive-looking handbags. In her heart, she said to herself, "I made the right decision." They told her stories about parties, generous men, and fast money. Serwaa listened eagerly, nodding with excitement, never noticing the sadness hidden behind their laughter. That same evening, back in the village, Serwaa's mother was still in sorrow. Neighbors came one after another to console her, but her tears did not stop. A mother's heart knows when danger is near. In the city, as night approached, Serwaa stood by the window of the small room she shared with her friends. For the first time, a small uneasiness entered her heart. The next few days passed quickly. Serwaa followed her friends everywhere, watching closely how they lived, how they spoke to men, how they dressed, and how they laughed even when their eyes looked tired. She told herself she was learning the city ways. Each morning, she woke up with determination, reminding herself that she did not come this far to turn back. Her friends advised her to change her look a little. They helped her with makeup, tighter clothes, and long lashes that made her eyes look heavier than before. When Serwaa looked into the mirror, she barely recognized the village girl she once was, and she smiled. To her, this new reflection meant progress. Men noticed her quickly. Some complimented her beauty, others promised her favors and comfort. Each sweet word fed her pride. In those moments, Serwaa felt powerful. She felt seen. She believed her suffering days were finally over, just as she had imagined back in the village. After a long time in the city, Serwaa began to make a lot of money. From going out with rich men, her dressing had changed. Even her walking had changed. She has made it, just as she promised herself. Soon, her friends started looking at her with jealousy. "I think Serwaa bought something from the village that we don't know about," one of them said. "She is making more money than all of us and taking our men." All of them, except Amma, slowly began to hate her and secretly plotted against her. Amma, however, still loved her and always advised her to be careful. One night, after returning from the nightclub, Serwaa and Amma found a plate of food neatly covered and left in the kitchen. "I think our friends left this food for us," Amma said. "That was kind of them." Amma began to eat quickly because she was very hungry. "Come on, come and eat the food," she called Serwaa. Serwaa was too tired and sleepy to eat. She took a few spoonfuls of the rice and dozed off, while Amma finished the rest of the food. The next morning, Serwaa woke up vomiting and holding her stomach in pain. She screamed and called out for help, calling Amma's name repeatedly. Amma did not respond. That was when Serwaa realized that Amma was lying lifeless on the floor. Fear took over her body. She suspected the food had been poisoned. She began to scream, terrified that she would also lose her life. I will not die here in the city, she told herself. I must go back to the village. I must see my mother one more time. Serwaa spent many days in the hospital, and by the time she had recovered, she had spent all her money on hospital bills. With all her money gone and her only friend no more, she had no option than to return to the village. News had already reached the village about their tragedy of the girls in the city and the return of Serwaa. The villagers came out to see her, some out of pity, others out of curiosity. When she arrived, her mother saw her and ran towards her in shock. Serwaa collapsed into her arms, crying bitterly. Mama, forgive me, she said. I was proud. I did not listen. I thought money was everything. Her mother held her tightly and cried with her. Days after Serwaa fully recovered, she became humble, respectful, and focused. She will do the chores for her mother and go to the river said with the rest of the village girls. She will constantly tell the other girls, I have learned from my painful experience, and no matter what happens, the best place to be is home.